Hi, I'm Kay Gifford. You know me from managing CPTSD um, for sexual assault survivors. I'm a little discombobulated because I've been meaning to do this for a while. And I have been talking myself into it intensely for the last several minutes. Um, this is not a trigger lesson or a deeper dive into sexuality, society, and spirit. This is my story of dying. I tried to kill myself twice when I was younger. The first time, I did not go to the beyond. The second time, I did. I met spirit guides. I went into a place that I am still trying to understand. So that's what this live stream is about. This is me trying to understand what happened to me. I understand why I tried to kill myself the first time. I had come out of several years of sexual abuse. Rather than tell my parents what was going on, in which case they would have immediately taken care of the situation, got the law involved, stopped my abuser. Instead of that, I ran away from home because I felt so dirty at being sexually violated. And I had been taught through society and life that virginity is important. So I was already ruined and shameful. And I felt hopeless that night and I tried to kill myself. So let's go into both of them. The first time I was 16 years old. I had left home. It was just before my 17th birthday. I had been busted with White Cross, which is, at the time we called them speeders. I got them from my sister for weight loss, but it turns out she got them from her boyfriend. She was married and had a boyfriend. And the boyfriend, whose children I babysat, went down in a huge drug bust for several kilos and handguns, and it was a mess. His girlfriend disappeared. Presumably she's dead. My sister was third, and I was 23rd on the subpoena list for this person's trial. This is the year I had run away from home. Rather than tell my parents what was happening to me, I ran away from home to the home of my abuser. Because this is the hardest thing to write about in my book. I was at a family reunion, not a family reunion. I was at my aunt's wedding. My mom's sister. My mom was she only had one sister in the world. And her very adult senior citizen sister left her husband and married this other guy. And I was at the wedding. I was 15 years old and 16 years old. And I got in a fight with my mom. I was drinking. I shouldn't have been. I was hanging out with my sister and the brother-in-law who had been mistressizing me for several years now. It was just a mess. It was a mess. So I have no good reasons for anything that happened or anything I did. But I did leave home and run away. A week later, I got a call from my own father asking me when I was going to come get my shit. So the brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law that had been abusing me, literally drove me home, where I went in and picked up my stuff with my mother crying and falling apart, my dad being stoic. And that's where they went wrong. was my child, I realize now, I wouldn't let them go learn their lesson. And my dad had no idea what had been happening to me for years because I never told, or my mom. But still, even without that knowledge, if your child tries to leave, then you send the police and you go get them. You go get them. As much as I revere my parents, and as much as that's what my mom wanted to do, that's not what they did. They decided to let me learn my lesson my own way, and they didn't realize how messed up things had gotten. They didn't realize what I'd been being tortured with for years. I didn't know that I was a sexual assault victim since I was 10 years old. So, sorry, get myself together here. I went away just before my senior year of high school, and I tried to save my niece and nephew, and that's another long story, and I couldn't do that, and I ended up moving into an apartment with a boyfriend who I then found in bed with my sister. They were tripping acid and in bed together. The sister whose husband was abusing me. I just left home and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. So I had Darvon and Percocet and Valium. And I took a mixture of 9 of them. I was trying to die, but I wasn't dying fast enough. So someone made fun of me because of all the bracelets I wear. I don't know if you can see, but I slit my wrist from side to side. Because I didn't think the pills were going to kill me. I laid in the highway in front of the cheap-ass apartment complex I was living in with my boyfriend, who I had just listened to on the phone, was not only cheating. I had listened to on the phone that he was sleeping with a friend of mine, who another friend of ours set us up just to hurt me with, so I'd know. And then I went to confront him and found him in bed with my sister. So I did the logical thing when you're 16. I took 9 pills and slit my wrist and laid in the highway. A dark highway just outside of Holt Summit, Missouri, just north of Jefferson City. And as fate would have it, the next car that was coming turned into my driveway because there were people that were going to party at my apartment because I'm 16 years old with my own apartment. I had people that would come party there, and it didn't run over me because they were turning in and they saw me and they brought me in. The next thing I knew, I woke up. And I was laying on the floor and I was looking at the ceiling in this crappy efficiency apartment I had rented to get away from my sister and brother-in-law. Just before I found out that the boyfriend I rented it with was cheating on me. And I'm just like, fuck. I'm still alive. At that point in my life, the shame that society has heaped on me about being in the position I was in was greater than asking for help or telling the truth. So when people tell I would say someone tried to kill themselves. Oh, they're crazy. It makes me so angry. You have no idea. But what you should know is if a person tries to take their own life, they are so dehumanized already that there's nothing you can say to hurt them. They don't care. And if you want someone to care about their own life, then you have to show them that you care about them. So, that was number one. So, I ended up making up with my mom and dad and getting rescued by them, returning home just before what would have been my high school graduation, but I already had my GED, so I didn't do that. My own father, the principal of my high school, could not hand me a diploma, and that's very sad. And I regret giving him that pain and torture because he was a good man. But I was home, and I went back to college. I started college, in my freshman year of college. I found out that my new boyfriend had cheated on me. And so I did the logical thing for someone who's really messed up in the head from a lifetime of being measured by who they are physically and if they're enough or not, which is how I felt about myself, I suppose. So I took 9 what I thought were painkillers. I thought that would kill me quick. But it turned out that my roommate at my college dorm had put her heart dilators in my pill bottle because her heart dilator bottles were really big and they were on the same table. And I was really upset. And I just grabbed them and chugged them. And I started having heart palpitations, being all freaked out. So I'm trying to die, but instead I'm ridiculously awake. So I call the ER and they tell me I've taken more than twice the lethal dose of heart dilators. So I wrote that one out. I tried to throw up as much as I could, hoping I'd thrown up as much as I could, to live. And I left and I went to a party with my friends, my freshman year of college, after thinking I've thrown these heart dilators up. And then I ended up, my head just started to pound and pound. It was horrifying. And the next thing I knew, I was sitting on the kitchen counter, slamming my head into the cabinets over and over again in Warrensburg, Missouri. I was at SEMO, and I was like, friends took me to the bathroom, and I don't know what happened in their sense, but suddenly I was watching everything. I was on top of the bathroom, and I was watching my body. I was watching them screaming at me and screaming at each other, call an ambulance, and this kind of stuff. And I had begged them when I was still coherent, before I passed out, not to call a doctor or anything, because I was more terrified of my parents. Even at this point, I was more terrified of my own family knowing what was happening than of saving my own life. The next thing I know, I'm on the ceiling, looking at my body, looking at all of them yelling at me, and all of this horrendous pain I was feeling. I couldn't breathe. It was the reason I was slamming my head into the cabinet was because the pain was just that great. Suddenly it's gone. It was like being thrown through a different dimension, and all of a sudden everything was peaceful and nice. And this is why people want to believe in the afterlife. People who say they have after-death experiences and they're sure there's a heaven. I wish I could go there. And you probably think I am, but I'm not. I'm rational enough to know that this could just be the manifestation of the death throes of the mind. I don't know. But I did feel peaceful. I was out of pain. And I saw, the light they talk about, but it wasn't like I was just drifting into the light. It's just like there was a light backdrop. And where I ended up in was at this place, and I had spirit guides. And I knew I could feel my Aunt Eileen and my grandmother were among my spirit guides. My grandmother had passed recently, and I knew that's who they were. So I don't know what's next, but I do have a suspicion that there is something, but I can't swear to that. I'm just saying that's my experience. And I have wanted to share it, but I'm afraid to share it too, because so many people that I've talked with people that they want to die. They're willing to kill themselves because they think there's an afterlife that's going to be better. And I'm like, maybe the afterlife is a work camp. Maybe there's no afterlife. I don't know. But there's no reason why anybody should sacrifice having a good life now. And as a sexual abuse survivor, I must insist to everybody that this is the life that we have. This is, at least in this life, our physicality matters. You matter. Your happiness matters. Your physical satisfaction matters. You're not here to be somebody else's commodity or whatever. As far as an afterlife, I believe there is one. I believe I've been there. I clearly at that time had a choice to stay or come back. It was given to me. It wasn't a voice that I heard, but it was in my head as words. I knew that I could stay or I could come back. I chose to come back, and I was immediately... the best way I can describe the sensation is like being thrown through a plate glass window, like shattering glass, just being thrown back in. I couldn't breathe. Everything hurt. I was in torture. It was pain again. My head wanted to explode from all the pills I'd taken. I was back to reality. But reality brought me back to life. I'm so grateful. I don't know what exactly that after experience was, whether it was another life or a death throes. I encourage everyone to be happy now and to recognize the people around you who may be so unhappy that they think death would be better. I'm here to tell you, I've been there. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't life. Choose life. Choose life. This is the one you get. I'll see you tomorrow on lessons in trigger management. I just wanted to tell you this story. Kay Gifford, signing out.